Hello aspirants, looking at editorials in question bank for 28th November. The first editorial in the Hindu newspaper is Cuba after Fidel. So this is regarding Fidel Castro, the Cuban revolutionary leader who died recently at the age of 90 years. This was discussed in news on 27th November. So we've discussed about everything with respect to this, about the Bay of Pigs invasion of 1961, about the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. So you can refer to 27th November news too. I'll just speak of it in short here too. So this Cuban leader came to power in 1959 with the downfall of the dictator then, and once he captured power, he tried to establish a communist form of government. So of course there were human rights violations and many Cubans went into exile and settled in USA too. So then USA also, because it was the period of Cold War, so USA was completely against communism, up against communism because of its fear of domino effect too, that once a country becomes communist, it will result in further countries around it also taking over the ideology. So the world was divided into two camps, communists and capitalists, led by Soviet Union and USA respectively. So USA was against Fidel Castro. There have been said to be hundreds of assassination attempts on him, which he escaped scot-free. But then the Cubans in exile also were supported by USA, and they tried to invade Cuba and capture power from Fidel Castro. So that was the Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961. So you can see this. This is Bay of Pigs in Cuba, where this invasion took place. You can see Cuba is here in the Caribbean Sea. This is USA, Florida. So from here, the Bay of Pigs up here is where these invasion came from, but it could not succeed. But post this in 1962, Soviet Union provided missiles which was stationed in Cuba, which could target this whole circle. You can see this was the range. So these Cuban missiles, nuclear missiles, created fear and a trigger for, even it may become a trigger for a nuclear war taking place too. So this became a controversial step taken, and post in a few months, USSR also took back this nuclear missiles because of pressure from USA too. So this was the Cuban Missile Crisis, a nuclear disaster averted. Otherwise, a nuclear war could also have come up. So this was there. Plus Cuba is also a member of NAM, non-aligned movement. So he was one of the prominent leaders, Fidel Castro, of non-aligned movement. So India-Cuba relations have been cordial. India was also one amongst the first countries to recognize Cuba under Fidel Castro in 1959. Also later, US sanctions also were slowly taken back. Plus even US President Barack Obama visited Cuba in 2016, just when his presidency was ending. So this is also there. So US-Cuba relations are also improving. So we have to wait and watch what happens now with Donald Trump coming to power. Also his brother, to whom the power was handed over by Fidel Castro because of his illness, he has also announced that he'll step down in 2018. So we'll have to see. Havana is the capital of Cuba. So how the transition from a dictatorial regime, a communist regime, would take place in Cuba too. Then the next editorial is demonetization and its discontent. So this is regarding demonetization and how political parties have aligned themselves with respect to this. So Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is supporting Prime Minister Narendra Modi on demonetization. So he is having his own ambitions to keep his options open. He is called to be a clean political leader, but he aligned with Lalu Prasad's political party RJD. So he wants to come clean of that too. So maybe for that purpose, he's keeping his options open to get closer to BJP too, or to have his image of against corruption being upheld by supporting demonetization. So it says, the editorial argues that there are political intentions behind these initiatives, maybe. Then also he talks, the editorial talks of Shiv Sena chief Uddhav Thackeray, who has been critical of his ally BJP. It's a partner with BJP in the government, and Shiv Sena has spoken against demonetization as saying that it is bringing tears in the eyes of the people. So here again the editorial argues that this is also having its own political intentions, that Shiv Sena does not want to sound anti-people because people are suffering. So in such a scenario, supporting demonetization may be difficult. So that's why it's supporting the people's and highlighting the people's agony. So that is highlighted, but then it is nothing important for us what political parties have to say on the matter. But there are also allegations against BJP too, that BJP had made huge cash deposits in banks in West Bengal and taken huge amount of land in Bihar just days before demonetization. So whether BJP itself has to come clean on this demonetization issue. So this is giving ammunition to the opposition parties to criticize the government. So we'll have to wait and watch now. Demonetization is already in effect. So the dilemma here is that you cannot oppose demonetization in principle and you have to oppose it in practice because it is affecting people drastically. So they are suffering. So that is the dilemma discussed. But anyway, we already know there's no question or aspect important in this. Then the question bank. The lead article on 20th November is on the centralizing instinct. So this is regarding center-state relations from demonetization perspective. So how center took the initiative and the states who have to deal with the scenario too do not have sufficient power with them. They are powerless, helpless when people are suffering. So it has a more of political coverage. So it's not important and there's no question that can be framed based on this. Only one perspective of demonetization. Plus the other articles on the perspective page, one is again on Donald Trump and his presidential win and the other one is on Fidel Castro. So Fidel Castro we have already discussed, so that's sufficient. The one question which has been framed for today is based on an article, not on the opinion and perspective page, but which has been detailed out on China on 20th November. So the question which has been framed is, China's productivity growth has been falling, especially post the global financial crisis of 2008, when the government had embarked on a massive stimulus and avoided structural reforms. Discuss the potential triggers for a crisis in China. Also discuss its likely impact on India. So China is acclaimed because it has achieved a 10% annual growth rate for over the last 35 years and it has quadrupled, made it 4 times. The per capita real GDP has become 4 times now, and also it has lifted more than 600 million people from poverty. So of course the achievements of China cannot be denied, but then the question is whether this growth of China has been driven by ever rising inputs of cheap labor and capital or by elixir of growth, which economists term as total factor productivity growth. So this means that we know that labor in China is cheap, plus also the capital which is given, provided for by the government. So loans and capital which is made available to them is spurring the growth. So whether that is the reason for growth or is it an overall inclusive growth because of all, totalization of all factor productivity growth. So means all factors of production are contributing together. So this is the question, because in the post-global financial crisis, when the government started providing stimulus and avoided structural reforms to ensure, structural reforms here basically means reforming the banking system, because the crisis, global financial crisis took place because of the downfall of the banks. So banks failed. So if similar change has to be brought in the other countries so that their banks are stable enough and they do not enter into such a crisis. So rather than undertaking structural reforms in the economy to strengthen it, and if short-term measures like giving stimulus, because what is happening is capital is flowing out, because after the crisis, global financial crisis, because USA itself suffered, people started taking their money out of the developing countries. So when developing countries face this scarcity of capital, the government gave stimulus. Even within USA, stimulus was provided by the government, and even developing countries, India, China, embarked on this. We have discussed this earlier too, that India's fiscal responsibility and FRBM Act and Budget Management Act that went completely haywire because of the global financial crisis. So this is linked to the issue that we provided stimulus. Then if government provides stimulus means money being made available in the economy, government itself taking loans and making it available in the economy. So money supply is there in the economy. So the economy continues to function. So because of this, what happens is that the fiscal deficit target could not be achieved in India, and in China also the number of loans which have been taken in and the government itself, the government's debt has increased. So this also has to be taken care of. So now the question is that what path will China pursue further? Whether it will go for debt-fueled growth, means the way stimulus has been provided, debt taken, provided, loans provided to both corporate sector as well as public sector enterprises, and ensuring growth continues at the same pace, or bringing in structural reforms which may be painful in the short term but having long term benefits. So this is the dilemma. So the article talks about 8 major issues. It calls them 8 dragons which can trigger a crisis in China. So these 8 major dragons we'll discuss one by one. The first one which it talks of is overinvestment. So overinvestment has seen that infrastructure investments have increased manifold, and this has resulted in cost overruns, and also many misdirected infrastructure investments are there. And these together account for 1/3 of the massive debt buildup that is likely to endanger the Chinese economy. So this is a huge amount of debt in infrastructure. So this is there. Then the second point which is highlighted is total debt to GDP ratio. So the amount of loans which have been taken, loans by both corporate sector as well as public sector enterprises. So they are called SOEs, state-owned enterprises. So both these are quite high. So this debt to GDP ratio is also very high in China. So this is another issue. The third is inefficiency of SOEs. So state-owned enterprises are inefficient. So their assets, return on assets is quite low. So this is another problem. So here also SOEs many are becoming loss making. So this and the cost of subsidies which are provided to them has to be accounted for. So these are the issues. Then the fourth aspect highlighted is non-performing assets, the NPAs, loans which the banks have given which are not providing any returns anymore. So that is also very high in China also. So it's not just a problem in India. This is the issue. Then the fifth point highlighted is shadow credit products. So high risk products that are offering high yields. So high risk products means these are debts, non-paying debts. So even we saw that the subprime crisis in USA, the global financial crisis, was triggered by this only. Because if there is a loan, so even debts are also sold. So you invest in debts also. So what happens is when you're investing in debts means you are providing for money for the debts also. So this is given a higher interest, means if, because they are risky investments, because these investments, these loans are difficult to be repaid, they are turning into NPAs or are NPAs. So in such cases when you are investing, the interest which you are paid is quite high. So high risk means high yield. So the yield on these high risk products in China is also 11 to 14% as compared to 6% on loans and 3 to 4% on bonds. So this is showing, because bonds are government bonds are the least risky because government would repay to you. So interest rate would be lowest. Loans 6% interest rate. But then on these high risk products, so these are called shadow credit products. So this can also be a huge trigger. It is estimated to be 40 trillion. High risk credit products are 40 trillion or $6 trillion. In renminbi it is 40 trillion. Renminbi is the currency of China, yuan or renminbi. So this in dollars it is $6 trillion. So this is also can be a trigger for the entire crisis in China, the way it occurred in USA too. Then the next point highlighted is overvalued currency. So the currency of China, yuan, is also overvalued. So overvalued currency basically means that the value of the currency with respect to dollar, so exchange rate, dollar yuan exchange rate, the way it is determined right now makes yuan overvalued. So it's more than its value. So this happens basically because Chinese currency is government controlled, whereas dollar is a free floating currency, means completely market determined. So based on the demand in the market, if demand in the market is high, then dollar's value is high. If demand in the market is low, dollar value goes low. But with respect to yuan, that is not the case. So this exchange rate is government determined in China, by China for yuan. So this presently the currency is overvalued. So there are apprehensions that the value can be devaluation can take place by the government. Chinese government can bring in devaluation, abrupt devaluation at any point of time. So this affects the economy negatively. So this can also be a trigger. So that is highlighted. Plus then the next seventh point is rebalancing. So the Premier of China, Wen Jiabao, has also spoken in 2010 that they are looking for investment in private consumption led growth. So it was said that China is having export-led growth. So now they want to shift to private consumption-led growth, means within the country. rather than depending on markets outside. Within the country, growth should take place through the people. So that is private consumption, investment led growth. So this rebalancing has not taken place yet, which is required. So till that time, this trigger also stays. Because outside market, how long will that be sustainable is another question. Plus, how sustainable will it be for within the economy when the divide between the rich and poor keeps on increasing. So bringing in private consumption and growth within the country is more important. Then the last point is demographics. So old age dependency in China is also increasing because it has brought in one child norm too. So which has of course been relaxed later, but then the dependency, old age dependency is increasing. So demographic dividend is no longer there for China as it is there in India. So this will also be a burden on the GDP, on the economy. So this is another aspect highlighted. So these are the triggers for Chinese crisis which may happen. Plus then the other point highlighted is even Xi Jinping, the current president of China, has spoken about eradication of corruption domestically, geopolitical adventurism by China too in its neighborhood, South China Sea issue and all such issues, and newfound regional assertiveness of China, then again as against its earlier claim of peaceful rise. So all these aspects also bring out how China would project itself. Also Chinese Communist Party is completing its 100th years. So 100-year anniversary will also be celebrated in 2020. So how would it project itself and put forth Chinese economy, how would it function? We'll have to wait and watch. Then impact on India. On that aspect, it is said that India has to learn from these Chinese issues because we also face some of them, the non-performing assets and the banking crisis which may take place. So we should also bring in structural reforms and ensure that we do not face similar crisis as China is facing. So we can take positive lessons from this. Of course, the likely effect of Chinese crisis would be a negative feedback loop will arise, because if China goes low, then India may also be affected negatively. Our stock markets would also fall, a rupee would depreciate, but then there are also overshooting possibilities too, that what China loses, India may gain. So we'll have to wait and watch on this aspect too. So this is about it. So you can go in, this is in short mentioned about all the issues as well here. Thank you.